Welcome, Otto. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Doing good.
Thank you.
So good to have you. I honestly am so excited to speak to you one-on-one. We did a panel last time, I believe, so now we really get to dive deep into what it is that you do. But for those watching that don't know who you are, can you introduce yourself, what you do, and what you'll be speaking on while you're here at AUREA Leaders?
Yes, so my name is Oto Gomes. I've been in the crypto space for about 10 years now. I was an accountant, tax preparer before that. And my goal is to share a perspective of blockchain that is different than what mainstream is sharing.
Okay.
And it's called harvesting digital gold. So there's the metaphysical ways to protect your spirit, and then now there are practical ways using blockchain.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So can you tell me a little bit more about that? What does that mean? More in depth of what that means exactly?
So, I believe that there are these metaphysical bullies, let's call it, these governments, these centralized systems that are creating pressure on us, on our physical bodies, using, trickery, using indoctrination, using the media. And so the more we can become aware of who we are physically in relationship to the systems, we can start to use the resources and use the tools properly. I think the best analogy I give is think of like a person playing a video game. Right? There's the player in the game, and that player in the game, the little character, they have a certain set of rules that they have to abide by. Right? If you walk too far, you hit an invisible wall. And then there's the player of the game. There's the guy that's holding the remote. He has different rules. He can change the game. He can go to a different level, different world. And so we have, I believe now, have to recognize, who are you? Are you the player of the game, or are you the player in the game? And so that's how we protect our spirits, by having that awareness now.
That's so good. And so let me tell you, how does it, let me ask you, excuse me, how does that convert into this golden age that we're stepping in? Like, what is your idea of what the golden age is, and how does your work play in that field?
So I honestly believe that the centralized systems are broken. They're meant to be broken. They're meant to be chaotic. They're meant to be stressful, because that facilitates control. You can control people a little easier in that format. So I want to say that the only path forward, I believe, first of all, I believe true decentralization is really only going to happen at the local private levels, or at least start that way. All these projects that are trying to launch at global public levels, you're always inviting the scrutiny of government, the scrutiny of corporations, and the mindset, this divisive capitalism mindset where somebody needs to lose for you to win. So for this community that we're creating here, the AUREA event and all the communities that we're creating, all we need now is a way to retrust ourselves, or remember what trust is with another physical man or woman. And I believe blockchain, being a trustless system, is going to facilitate that. Think of it as a stepping stone to then be able to embody that and actually use it. Initially, transitionally, we need to create a different monetary system. We need to create something that is not manipulated or affected by mainstream narratives. That's really the only way, because these globalists are creating narratives that are affecting what we believe to be good assets, like a home, where now it's impossible to pay it off in 30 years. They make it so that you are hooked in as a debt slave. And so the only way, I believe, is that we need to separate and start creating our own systems that we connect to each other. And the value is going to come from us, not from these systems.
So what's the first step in doing that?
Community, coming together, connecting, normalizing the conversation. This event, exactly this, coming together and talking about it. I believe the true power of creation in this reality comes from us. It comes from our voices, our frequency. And so if we normalize the conversation, reality will start to evolve around it. It has to. It's a mirror, right?
Absolutely. Just going in a different direction here, what would you say to someone else? We know we have a lot of spiritual leaders or striving entrepreneurs here. What would you tell them to encourage them to continue on that path? Because we know trying to change, doing these paradigm shifts, especially when it concerns the government, isn't easy. So people that are trying to change the world, what advice would you give them?
Yes, that's a good one. Cut dependency. Cut dependency. I believe the reason we feel the metaphysical pressures of these bullies is because at one level of our lives we have some form of dependency, something that we need from them to feel complete. So the 5 layers: emotional, spiritual, relational, physical, and mental. We need to go through all those layers and see, am I dependent on something? Am I dependent on something outside of my body? Because I don't believe we need anything outside of our bodies to feel loved, to feel connected, to feel full. All we need is ourselves. So if you're dependent on something, that's usually what's going to unconsciously create an action. And so the more, if you're an entrepreneur and you're, that kind of mindset to where I need to put on my bootstraps and make this thing work, the next step is just awareness. It's just be able to look at the dependencies and start to cut the dependencies, bring it in, and then if you can't do it yourself, find someone and create an interdependent relationship where both are working towards similar goals.
Wow, that's different advice. That's definitely something you don't hear every day. So just cutting dependency.
Yeah, dependency.
I love that. And so let me ask you that. If you can give me, we're getting ready to wrap up here, but if you can give me a solid, 3 practical steps for anyone watching that can right now at home go and do to be able to contribute to this blockchain technology and just get rid of these bullies, like what are these, like, at least top 3 tips?
First thing I would say is clean up your past in the matrix. So we all have a history in the matrix. We have all these things that we've done in our past, and there's this belief that we need to, right now a lot of the freedom people are we got to fight the system, we got to protest. I don't believe that's the way, because that's only reaffirming that it does have the power. It's like the little kid yelling at the daddy, like, no, I don't want to get grounded, and he's like, but I'm your dad. That's what it is. And so it's all because of self-implication. So first things first is really just become aware of that, become aware of those layers. Second thing with Bitcoin specifically, I would dollar cost average into that. Right now it's considered the hardest hedge against inflation, centralization, harder than properties, harder than even government bonds for the long run. So dollar cost averaging, which is just like create a rule of a certain amount of money and a certain amount of time frame that you're going to buy like every day or every week. And I did the math, the average APY for that is 15 to 20%. So it's actually better to dollar cost average Bitcoin than to have savings, because savings are paying 1-2%. And then the last thing is start to really become aware of the physical, the differences between the physical and the legal, the physical and the digital. It's I've noticed that most will identify with that and go, oh yeah, that's me. Like your license, is that you on your license? Yeah, that's me. And it's not. Lawfully speaking, it's two separate entities. There's the name on the license and the picture, and then there's the physical body, right? You're not that license. You are the physical body. And so just because of trickery of the English language, we self-implicate ourselves. And so the more you can become aware and embody who you are physically, the less controlled you're going to feel. Yeah,
because then you start building this identity, right? You're putting your identity.
Who am I?
Wow, interesting. And just lastly, what would you just say? One of the biggest values. This is your second time at AUREA Leaders. What is the biggest value that you've been getting from the AUREA Leaders events?
Yes, I love Jeff and Jackson. They have just started something here that I think is going to be powerful in the long run. The most I've definitely gotten is just connections. It's just these true friendships. Yes, it's different. I've been to many conferences in crypto, and it's so disconnected.
Really?
So it's very analytical, very logical. Here, the first thing Jackson did when he saw me was give me a hug. So what I get from this is reaffirmation of the work I'm doing, the conversations I'm having, and the connections, deepening these connections. So the more we do this, the more we normalize the conversation, the more reality will start to change.
Awesome, thank you. And thank you for your wisdom, for being a leader, showing everybody else the way. doing something that's not easy to do. So I honor you for being here and being a teacher and a student.
Yeah,
As
always.
I always say, always a teacher and a student. But yeah, thank you. This has been incredible. And is there anything else that you want to say, add before we close out?
These shirts are going to go on sale soon, so make sure you get one. This is a partnership I did with One Golden Thread. Jeff Scalt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jeff Scalt? Really? Oh,
So
it's
this
so
is
soft.
my company, and there's a quote here in the back, or a poem.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
so.
love his clothes. It's just the
I know,
softest.
it's so nice.
Wow.
Organic cotton and beechwood tree.
Love that. And that's like the perfect thing to wear AUREA Leaders,
Yeah,
the golden
yeah.
age. So love it. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Yes, thank you.